Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Jonathan Meisner.
Aaron Crane here, and today we are talking about what it means to be dateable.
That's right. It seems like everywhere we look, there are relationships going on, whether you're going into one, coming out of one, wish you had one, or you're just tired of people asking you when you're going to get one. They seem like they're all around us, aren't they?
Yeah, because actually I got to ask some of you what you think it means to be dateable, and lots of great footage, so let's check it out right now. You guys are dating, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Don't be nervous.
I'm good.
I don't need to talk loud, right? That's what the microphone's for. Are you guys dating?
We're exes.
Oh, it's gonna get really good in here, guys. Okay, what is the top quality that makes someone dateable? Dateable.
They just have to be pretty, be nice.
Someone that you could see yourself marrying.
If he has a growing relationship with Christ.
A good attitude.
Somebody that has a lot of stuff in common with you, so that you're not like feeling awkward.
Someone that is Steven Adams.
Wow, that was very specific.
Like their personality and like how cute they are.
Sense of humor.
Their personality.
Gotta be taller than me.
So they have to be like really smart and nice.
Okay, so not mean, loves Jesus. Perfect. What is the top thing that makes someone undateable? Undateable. Is that even a word? Not dateable.
Bad personal hygiene.
Someone that has horrible hygiene. If he had really weird feet. If they don't brush their teeth.
Does anyone your age not brush their teeth?
I mean, there's people. Someone who is just like too confident.
Them not having a great personality and being untrustworthy. Like ugly and like
If he has a criminal record.
She's just too easy to get, I guess.
Really cocky or thought they could get everything, you know. Being rude.
Somebody that doesn't have any clue.
Personally wouldn't date someone who wasn't nice to their mom or their sister.
Someone who doesn't share a religious belief with you, because if you don't share that, then you're not going to have much else in common.
I'd say somebody that's like disrespectful to you.
and they're like mad all the time and just like not respectful.
When they're like really annoying.
Mean.
They don't like you back.
That seems pretty simple. All right, so my biggest takeaway, a lot of those kids need to step up their game in personal hygiene, I think.
That may have been your takeaway, but I gotta be honest. I'm mad.
At who?
I'm mad at you. You had a couple that had broken up on camera, and
Right.
that was all we got. I need to see more footage.
I wish that I could, because trust me, it was really, really good. But we're just gonna cut it there because you had a chance to sit down with just one couple and have a great conversation. I'd love to hear about that.
I did. It was really good. And we talked about the point that we're gonna be talking about today, and that is be the person you're looking for is looking for. Be the person you're looking for is looking for. I sat down with a great couple from our church, James and Mandy Meehan, and we had a conversation about this topic. All right, Mandy, James, I'm curious from your perspective, both from a guy's perspective and a girl's perspective, why do you think it's so important for us to first work on ourselves and look at ourselves when it comes to our relationships?
For me, when I look at the person, when I was looking at the person that I was wanting to marry and wanting to, one day do life with, I wanted someone who was godly, who was involved in the church and, was living the life that God was calling them to live. And I can't expect them to ever want to be with someone like me unless I was living that kind of life too.
For me, growing up, I had a bunch of dysfunctional relationships, and the common denominator was my dysfunction.
Yeah.
And so for me, having a successful marriage, I had to fix the problems that I carried and really just get to a place where I was ready to have a healthy relationship. And until I did that, it wouldn't matter what relationship I step into, I'm gonna keep bringing the problem with me.
Yeah. So you guys obviously set standards for the person that you're looking for.
Right.
But how did those standards change how you went about preparing yourself for a relationship?
Yeah. So I would say for me, just looking at the standards that I set and then thinking about, okay, if that's the kind of person that I eventually want to marry, holy cow, I don't measure up to that at all. I've got a long ways to go. And, when I looked at my life, I carried a lot of dysfunctions. And so I just thought to myself, okay, if that's the eventual goal of the kind of person I want to marry, what kind of person do they want to marry? And if I'm not that person yet, what do I need to do to get there?
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be brought up differently. I grew up in the church. I had a relationship with Christ at a young age, and I decided to set my standards really differently. And for me, I knew I didn't want to date in high school. And I know that's really weird, and that's not what a lot of people do, and most people probably think I'm crazy, but I knew I wanted to do things differently so one day I could have a marriage that's different.
Yeah.
So something that I said a lot that I really held on to was that I was dedicated to being successfully single. And for me, that just meant that in my short years of singleness, compared to my span of life, my years as a single person, it's pretty short. There's not that much time. So those years of singleness, I want to do it well. I don't want to be distracted. We're always wondering about like, oh, could they be the one? Or, oh, wouldn't it be so great if I, could whatever. But I was focused on being the best person that I could be, seeking God as a single person. And that prepared me to be the person that I needed to be for James.
Yeah, strip away all the distractions. Focus on being successfully single. I love that. I love that. That's awesome. Now, something that you both have kind of alluded to, that you didn't say it explicitly, but you said it in a roundabout kind of way. We hear it all the time at the church. If you want something that no one else has,
right,
which is a lot of people don't have very great marriages in our world today. We got to be honest. If you want something that no one else has, you got to do things that no one else is doing.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what you did. Being the person that we're looking for is looking for.
Successfully single. I love that concept of instead of getting distracted with relationships, instead her focus was on putting God above everything else.
Yeah, the thing that stuck out to me was actually from James's part of that conversation. He said, as he looked over the course of all of his dysfunctional relationships, the common denominator, the thing that was the same in each one of them was him.
Yeah.
He was the problem a lot of times, and he had to focus on himself. What he was doing is he was becoming the person he's looking for is looking for. I love that.
And that right there, I don't know anyone who teaches on that better than Pastor Andy Stanley. He's out of Georgia and really just embodies this whole concept. So we're going to go right now to hear from him.
I want to give you a big idea that I want you to begin to get your heads around and your hearts around. And I want you to begin to think about, because we're going to come back to this over and over and over. Here's the contrast. The idea is this. Instead of finding the right person, the real issue is, are you becoming the right person? This is huge. It's not a cute little statement. It's not a cute little phrase. This is the whole deal right here. This is what nobody told you. This is what nobody told most married people. This is why they date the way they did. It's why they do the things they do. It's why they wake up on the other side of marriage or wake up on the other side of a long-term relationship and go, what happened to the passion? What happened to the pizzazz? What happened to the fire? What happened to the fuel? What happened to all the great stuff? Why are we like roommates? And it's because they went out trying to find the right person. They never spent any energy, any time becoming the right person. This is the new approach. This needs to be your new rule. And I'm telling you, it is life changing. When I was preparing for this series, I did several things to try to get ready for this. And one of the things I did is I met with 9 or 10 single people who are like thick in the whole dating thing. And I got them in a room and I said, okay, let's just talk frankly about dating. Okay, it's been a long time. And so I want to understand. I want to understand terms. I want to understand experiences. I want to understand expectations. And I thought I understood all this, but I just, want to hear it firsthand from some really neat people. And one of the young ladies in that room told this story. And I feel like it explains and illustrates this point better than any other thing I've heard. She said, grew up in a religious home, kind of had the Sunday school background and, the Bible and Jesus and God and that whole thing, went to school, graduated, came to Atlanta and immersed herself in kind of the singles dating culture. And she said, it's not that I quit believing what I used to believe. It's just that I kind of took all of that and I just put it on the back burner. It wasn't like I had some religious epiphany, one night, Jesus is not the Son of God. It wasn't anything like that. She just said, I decided in terms of my dating and my relationships with guys, I'm just not factoring that in. So she's living the life, doing her deal, having fun, things that she, looked back on and said she wished she hadn't done. Anyway, so she's going along. So she's at some gathering. I don't know exactly what it was. And in this gathering were some people she didn't know, and she began to meet some people, and she met this guy. And she said this guy was like the total package. Those are her words. The looks, the job, the personality, everything. And she said as she began to talk to him and as she began to listen to him talk, it became very apparent he was a Christian. And not only was he a Christian that was figuring out and committed to living out his faith in his job, living out his faith in his relationships, and living out his faith in his dating relationships. I mean, he was very overt about that. Mature, good looking, everything. And she was like, wow. And she said as she talked to him, it brought back memories of some of the things that she'd kind of put on the back burner as she'd immersed herself in this dating culture. She said that really wasn't working out very well for her. Well, anyway, she left that party or that gathering, just wow, this guy. She went home. I don't know if it was the next day or, a few days later. She goes home and she starts telling her mom about this guy. She's going on and on, how good looking he is, and he's got this and that, and he's a Christian, and on and on and on. And she said that her mother turned to her and said, sweetheart, the problem is a guy like that is not looking for a girl like you. She said she literally fell to the floor in a puddle of tears. And she cried and she cried and she cried because she knew her mom was exactly right. And she said that was a defining moment for her as a single person. A defining moment where she decided, you know what? She's right. That guy that I'm kind of looking for, that I would never admit to myself I'm looking for, he's not looking for somebody like me. She said in that moment, she decided life change, priorities changing, values changing, friendships changing. I'm going a different direction with my life and how I date. Here's the question I want to leave you with tonight as we wrap this up in just a few minutes. Are you who? Are you who the person you are looking for is looking for? Are you who the person that you're looking for is looking for? In other words, you see, single people, if you were to sit down, you could come up with a list. I want him this way and her this way, and here's what I'd like her to have in her past. I don't want her to have this in her past. Don't want him to have this in his past. Don't want to have this kind of addiction. Don't want him spending his time on this. In other words, you know ideally what you're looking for. The question is, are you who the person you're looking for is looking for? Another way of asking this is this. Are you becoming? Are you being intentional? Are you leaning into? Are you trying to become the person that the person you're looking for is looking for? Or are you just playing the game of, well, someday I'm going to magically run into, I'm going to magically, mysteriously, providentially just meet the right person. And if I meet the right person, the right things will happen. It just doesn't work that way. It's a myth. That the correct approach, the approach that will serve you so well, is to decide, I'm not just hunting and I'm not just seeking. I am intentionally becoming. I want to be the person that the person I'm looking for is ultimately looking for.
And that is such a great message from Pastor Andy. Like I said, he really knows how to drive home this point, but it's one that doesn't need to stop here because this should be an ongoing conversation with our small groups, with our friends. It's that important.
Yep, and I love it. And it can't be said enough. It takes Christ at work in our life. We can't do this on our own. He has to be at work in our life. Become the person you're looking for is looking for. That's what it's all about. That's what makes you different, and that is what makes you dateable.